Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is WBFFLP 106.9. We are glad to have you today. Hope your day is well, whatever time you are watching this show. Tonight, we have a wonderful session of Let's Talk Real Life with Nada Manning. I would say it's the best talk show on right now. So lock your dial in, stay with us for a while. If you want to get involved in the show, in which we'd love to hear your input, you can call in at 252-756-2008. If you're watching the rebroadcast, you can find us on GPAT 23, Facebook, Awesome Radio Facebook, and YouTube channels the like. And by all means, you can download the app, the Awesome Radio app, and listen to us 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day, ladies and gentlemen, around the world. Well, without further delay, ladies and gentlemen, here is our host, Miss Nada Manning. Ladies and gentlemen,
Hello. Hello, everyone. Good to be on the show, to have you all to listen in, to see what's going on as we talk about somewhat of a different topic, a different spin on things. But first, I'll have a special announcement I want to hand out to you. And if I can have time at the end, I'll mention it again. Um, Coach Garrison and I are planning to have special guests on our show for the month of May for Mother's Day and Father's Day for the month of June. If you are interested in being a guest on the show, there is a form that's on the website for you to complete. And it's the website, if you all don't know it, is WBIS Awesome Radio, one word, .org. WBIS Awesome Radio .org. And it's a very simple form to complete. Uh, Fill it in, and you can message me on Facebook. Since all of you are such gurus with this Facebook stuff, watching the show every week and things, message me and let me know your interest, and that way I can keep track of who want to be on which show. Now there are five Wednesdays in May and 4 Wednesdays in June. Coach Garrison will be doing one of the four in June, and I will do the first one for May, which I believe is next Wednesday. Next Wednesday is May 3rd. So I will be doing that one. So the remaining of the month of May, if you're interested in one of those Wednesdays, please let me know in advance so that we can get you set up. And you cannot wait until the day before. You have to do it at least, I believe it's at least 3 days before the show. So I'm letting you know early enough if you're interested. I would love for you to be a part. We want to make May and June special months because mothers and fathers are special. We all had one, and some of us still have one, or both. So we want to hear the opinions and ideas of you all out there so that we can have a even more interesting show. So having said all of that, that's my special announcement for the month of May, starting next Wednesday through June, the last Wednesday in June. I look forward to hearing from you all. I am your host, Nada Manning, and we are going to talk tonight about best buddies. Best buddies. I'd like to think we all have at least one or more, or have had them anyway. Perhaps those of us who are older, such as myself, may not have that best buddy anymore. But once upon a time, there were a couple of best buddies. I'm talking about myself. And very interesting relationships indeed, both men and women. Yes, you can have male best buddies as well as female best buddies for same sex or opposite sex. There is such a thing, and it's a great thing. So, moving on, we're going to start out by saying we are all on a mission. We're on a mission because why? We're here to encourage one another as we get acquainted with one another, and how we respond to things in those best buddy relationships. I want to give you a couple examples of some encounters, and I hope that you'll be able to relate to what I'm saying as it applies to being on a mission. We all are on a mission, whether we want to be on a mission or not. We are all on a mission. And do I have to say what that mission is? I'd like to think not. But life is a mission, and we all have life. As we walk this life, which, by the way, like I said, is a mission, and meeting people, we sometimes win friendships. Sometimes we win friendships. It's not always about winning, though. Sometimes we have a friendship, and it becomes challenging because we all don't agree on everything. So sometimes it becomes an argument somewhere in between there. And we might end up losing that friend or friends because of the argument, whatever that argument is about. But like I said, we're on a mission, and we have to be real and ask ourselves, how do we communicate about with both our words and our body language when we're trying to make these friends and best buddies, or keep them for that matter. Best buddies, I think, is probably beyond just a regular friendship. I'm thinking best buddy is more than just a friend. That is your BFF, as they call it today. One of those long time things. Best buddies supposed to be long time, ongoing, long term, as we have in the financial world. Sometimes we have those long term agreements, long term mortgages, long term agreements in various ways. So being a best buddy is long term. That's what we'd like to think. However, we come into a snag every now and then where we have differences of opinion, and that's fine. Sometimes that can be a healthy thing to have a difference of opinion because everyone have a different point of view, a different perspective on things, depending on what the situation is at hand. I would say when we get into that predicament of deciding whether that's going to be a continued relationship or not, being a best friend, we probably might want to share some things about ourselves. And a couple of things that I came up with, one of them is an example of a wedding where you have your best man and your maid of honor. Most of the time, I would say 99% of the time, those two positions are filled by your best friend, your best buddy. And sometimes we run into a snag where we have more than one. Then it becomes an issue in arranging that wedding. When one person feels like they're your best friend, now, okay, groom, your best man, you might have two or three best buddies, and you have to choose. I don't think it's recommended to have more than one best man. I think one best man is one. I'm thinking things have changed these days. Maybe weddings are set up a little bit differently. They say, you know what? I'll take all three of them. I'll let all three of them be my best man. Well, you're doing that to save face, to resolve the disgruntledness that will occur. Because certainly if one person thinks that they're your best friend, then they're going to take the position of being that best man in that wedding or that maid of honor for the female. And yes, it has caused a lot of disgruntledness. So best man and bride, groom and bride, I guess you have to put your heads together and find out who's going to do what. And it's not always easy. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not as hard as others. But those times when it's kind of difficult to decide, And yes, it can create an argument. It can create a very toxic situation, because at the end of that wedding, or during that wedding, again, you have body language. You made your decision. Bride and groom, you've made your decision who that person is going to be standing next to you. And you have those body languages out there. If they decide to come, they may be so angry that they won't even come to the wedding. That has happened too. But it's a very touchy situation. Can we be best buddies after an argument? Can you still remain friends and let that be your best buddy after it's all said and done? When the wedding is over, you're married. You really shouldn't be concerned about it, because that's your married time. That's you and your new bride and your new husband. You all going on about your business, and deal with that situation when you get back wherever you're going. However, the question still remains: can we be best buddies after that decision is made? Because certainly it's going to be, has been, and it's not uncommon, an ugly situation. So you find out, okay, so now what? What are we going to do? We have this person. We've made our choice. It is what it is, and they have to live with it. But you're going to come back from that honeymoon or wherever you're going, and you're going to want to be with your best friend. How are you going to calm that spirit down? What are you going to do, or what are you going to say to resolve that issue? You don't want to lose your friend, not over something like that. I think personally that's a bit much. I think that these men and women need to put on their big panties and underwear. These guys be big boys and girls about the situation and realize it's not about them. It's about the bride and the groom. So don't spoil it for them with your attitude and your moodiness and your childish behavior, because that's what it is. I want to be the best man. Man, dude, I thought I was your best buddy. All this lip service. And then there are the women. Clack, 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 clack. Oh, girl, I thought I was it for you. I thought I was your. What happened? Why you didn't choose me? See, all that is not necessary, but it's an argument, and that's the purpose of the conversation tonight. That's the purpose of it. How can we, or can we, be best buddies after an argument? It's a challenging situation, and as I said earlier, it can be very toxic, and it can break people up. It can break them up. I say, if it was me, I think the best solution would be to sit them all down, come under one setting. They realize what time it is. They realize, and the time is, it's time for this wedding to get started. And we're going to get married if we don't have not one best man or no maid of honor at all. We're still going to get married. Is it a requirement to have those positions? I don't know. I think the bride and the groom are in a position to say one way or the other, you know what? I don't even want to bother with none of y'all. We're going to get married, and I'll see you when I get back. I don't know. You're still going to be married. There are some weddings that take place, you don't have all that. If it's going to create all that havoc between those men and women, you ask yourself, do we really want to go through all of that? I think it's up to the bride and groom, the ultimate decision. And do you need to have all that big wedding anyway? Do you need to have all those people to be married? It's nice, but is it required? Is it necessary? You're still going to be married. I think it's a choice between the two special people there. To avoid it all, just don't get none of them. Wipe them all out. So nobody got nothing to be mad about, because nobody was the best man. Nobody was a maid of honor. Flower girls, all of them. Just forget all that. That's what I would do, because I want to keep my friends. I don't want to spoil anything, because they are my best buddies. And just because I'm married don't mean that I don't want to be around them anymore. That's not right either. So you see, folks, you have to be fair when you're making decisions because everybody is not going to take it well, and you can't please everybody anyway. How about that? It is what it is. Comments, questions. We are live on the air, folks. I'd love for you to call in and talk to us. Let me hear your story. Let us hear what you have to say about this thing. I voiced my opinion on it, and that's just one of my two scenarios about arguing. Okay, about this best buddy after an argument. If you're best buddies anyway, you're not going to let that spoil your relationship. It shouldn't. I mean, that's petty. It's just a position. And you have a lifetime of friendship with this person. And you're going to let that one episode, that one position spoil everything. How strong was your friendship in the first place if you're going to allow that to interfere just because you didn't have your way and you weren't chosen? It's like having a job and you didn't get it. You know you're the best qualified, so what you going to do if they don't select you? They don't need but one position and you got 10 applicants. They got to choose one. In that scenario, because the job needs to be done, you have to choose somebody. You can't just eliminate them like I just said about the wedding because you need that position filled to accomplish your goal. The bride and the groom don't need that maid of honor and that best man to get married. I don't think so. Now, maybe I'm wrong. All you need is a minister, a preacher, a pastor, or somebody to make it legal. The judge in the courtroom. Go do that way. You still married. So why go through all that heartache, all that frustration?
Well, I have a situation. First of all, I've never had, just me personally, I've never had a situation where I had to pick among friends because I never carried that many friends. I never walked with that many people that, you know, felt like I was that popular that they want to stay under the left and the right shoulder, flanking me.
I call it the armpit. Okay, great.
So, it's interesting to see you talk about that. And when I got married, I didn't have a best man or whatever. That no, we just got married. We had a wedding though, with people there and stuff. So now, the just for discussion's sake, I think that there is one argument, and I'm not trying to pick either. There's one disagreement that you can have that does it is really hard and difficult to get by, and that is someone who you think. There's two ways you think, and then there's another one where they have betrayed you and this, threaten your trust or broke it, not necessarily, or challenged it. That's right, challenged the relationship through a behavior that they have really betrayal. I guess that's another, that's the word that defines what I'm saying. To get over that one, it takes a little time. But back to the normal situation, right? Where you don't commit murder. I find it difficult to get over a situation when we've had the same problem a few times over. That's when I don't bounce back so quick. That's when I don't lose the relationship, but I get highly concerned if something just keeps happening. That's along the same lines that could be resolved. It could be me doing it, and I just don't like feeling that way when I'm around you. I just don't like feeling like I don't know. I just don't like debating. I just don't like arguing, or well, I mean, I'm just using these for figure of speech. But there's something going on where the person makes me feel a certain way, and I don't like that feeling. So that's one that is hard to get past, and I still want to maintain a relationship with them, but it's just not lovey dovey.
Okay. And that's not uncommon either. Um, there's such a thing as agreeing to disagree
Mm-hmm.
so that you can move on with your life and their life. If the two people or the group or the team or whoever is involved can stick to that, agree to disagree, again, because everybody has feelings, everybody have opinions, and everybody feels some kind of way about things. So when you're feeling some kind of way, you're right. It's hard to just wipe it out after so many um, betrayals, so to speak. So many incidents has occurred, maybe over time, uh, and stuff just keep coming up. And you're right. It is very hard in any relationship. It could be husband, wife. It could be family members. It could be co-workers. You got to be around them co-workers every day, looking at them, and yeah, it becomes very toxic, and it makes it very difficult. However, like I said earlier, we put on our big panties and big underwear and be big boys and girls about a situation. Be the bigger person, and it's easier said than done. If you have to be around that person, for example, your job, um, which you go to every day, and you have to face them, then I definitely need prayer, because in and of ourselves, we know what we would do within ourselves, but then that we know that would not be pleasing to our Father. So we don't want to go that route. There is a way to handle it and be mature about it, be respectful about it. And I think I mentioned last week or week before last about walking away from a thing. But sometimes you're in a situation where you can't avoid them, like on the job. Now, family members is a different story. Um, I don't think it might be a situation where you have to face them every day, but most times not. You can put distance between you. Same thing in a marriage. If you're not getting along, if you're not together, put distance between you, but be civil, be respectful, because you're being a bigger person. Walking around with a gruntal attitude all the time is not healthy at all.
Mm. No, no, no.
It's not. And truth of the matter is, you're the one that's disgruntled about the situation, you or me or whoever it is that's involved, and you carrying that load, and all it's doing is weighing you down. That other person might be going on with their life, and maybe they won't. I don't know, but I don't think both people are handling the situation the same, because you're two different people. What might be bothering you about it might not be bothering them about it. And sometimes it might not be bothering them at all, but you the one all tied up and frustrated. So it's a situation where it's real. It's real life as we are talking now. Let's talk real life. We're live on the air. I am your host, Nada Manning, as we continue to talk about this being buddies after an argument.
How about the forgiveness and but I ain't forgot. I don't forgive you, but I ain't.
That's a very common statement, also. Um, and I have yet, and I could be wrong about this too, but I have yet to find it in the Bible that says uh, forgive and don't forget. Um, it says to forgive, but I haven't found that forget part. Maybe it's in there and I haven't found it. So we can forgive and carry on. It takes a lot of strength and a lot of energy, a lot of favor from God for us to carry on with that spirit in us and be civil about it. And the more toxic that incident was or is in that relationship, the harder it is to really let it go. It takes time, that's for sure. I've been in those positions before more than once. It takes time.
And what about if it's still active? Let's say somebody's got a substance abuse issue. You already know they're gonna be fighting that battle for quite some time. Substance abuse, eating disorder, Like me, I don't know. Maybe it's not a disorder. It's just them chicken wings is just so good. But I had to cut back. Boy, I got to skip some of them doctor's appointments. I'm tired. I got tired of talking about cholesterol and this, that, and the other. So I got it under control. Thank God. I
Yeah.
ain't trying to go back. But things that keep occurring with you and another person.
Temptations of all
Hmm.
sorts. Chicken
Yeah.
wings, we know it's going to do something to us,
Hmm.
or the relationship. We know that the relationship is not working out. We know that it's like beating against a brick wall sometime when trying to talk to a person, which is another part that I wanted to share. Um, Trying to convince them to see it a different way, whatever the situation is. Like I said about the wedding, uh, trying to get that bride, maid of honor, to realize, and that groomsman, the best man, to realize that it's not about them. Why do you want to put yourself in that position? It's a waste of time to even go through that. Let the couple decide who they want and leave it alone. But it's
Did
so
they really?
hard. It's hard.
Did they really argue about that, or get feelings crossed up about who got chosen to be the?
Of course.
I mean, I know that's what you're saying. I find it interesting. The whole big old 3 pounds of jealousy can be strapped to somebody's back while they're standing up there with somebody getting married.
Yeah. And sometimes to take it even a step further, how about this? That shouldn't have been the woman up there marrying him in the first place. It's supposed to have been me.
Oh,
Attitude.
oh,
That person sitting out there with everybody else with all kind of body language like hmm, or the man. Well, she's supposed to have been my wife. How you what happened? All kind of attitudes.
wow.
And it's all the bride and groom can do to not let that spoil their day. Sometimes couples get married, one or the other or both of them realize that the one that they really wanted to marry is not the one standing in front of them. But
Mm.
they're doing it anyway for whatever reasons, and that happens. Maybe the one out there that they wanted to marry have shown some disgruntledness or some toxic behavior that has caused them not to want to go that route after all. But yet, that inner feelings, those emotions, they have to learn to let it go.
I seen a meme one time, the most interesting one that's right along the subject you're talking about. It was basically saying you should have just asked for forgiveness rather than ask her to marry you. So it was like I guess it's a statement or a picture of somebody that done something wrong. So to make up for it or to cover up for it, they asked the person to marry them rather than just, trying to prove their love for them. So they asked to marry them rather than, which is probably a little bit more than what they can handle. But they went overboard trying to redeem themselves from the issue that they had between each other.
So
So
they end up marrying the one that they really did not want to marry.
yes, that's what that sounded because you went too far. So you should have just asked for forgiveness rather than asking that
To
person
marry.
to marry you.
Yeah. Because after all, that wedding, that marriage is supposed to be something sacred and lasting. So you're putting yourself, you might be creating another monster by marrying someone you really didn't want to marry in the first place. But you felt
Mm.
so guilty about what went on. Let me go on and marry this person because I don't know what else to do. Let me just marry her or marry him to cover up, like you said, what that's not a wise decision, but I believe it does happen. And who's to say that the marriage wouldn't work out after a while? You know, who knew? It could and it could not. But anyway, it's a decision that can help resolve an argument, perhaps. but you might be creating more arguments down the road. And then you'll have to deal with that. Okay, well, you dug yourself deeper. Sometimes you've dug yourself in a deeper hole by doing that.
How
You
about
took
this one?
the easy way out,
How about this one?
so you
Now,
think.
I know that I've said something to offend somebody. Now, I know that they know, but they don't know I know. But you just what? Just keep moving. I mean, I think that in that situation, that you may have a situation where they don't know, you don't know. Let me get my days in the use straight here. Somebody offended you and you didn't tell them that they offended you. You see what I'm
Okay,
saying? So
okay.
you're just sitting there and you wade through it. And I guess that's an automatic acceptance of you're still going to be friends after the situation. But you may not be the same type of friends because you might get cut back. Um, if I have a situation like that and somebody offend me and I don't let them know, I just give a different type of access to that person. It's still going to be genuine. But what about their situation there if you don't tell them and you don't have an argument? Does that apply with being a friend or an associate with them, or you should cut it off if they offended you that much? Well, anyway, what's your take on not telling the person that they offended you?
I have personal experience with that. Um, have been more than one time that I was offended by an incident, and I didn't say anything. I have held it. Well, it's not held now, but at that time, I held it probably a couple of years.
Oh wow.
I didn't say anything, and I did not act any different.
Were y'all close?
We started out being close. Are we close now? No.
But you held it and you were right there around them.
I was around them, could have been more around them, but I chose to keep my distance because of what had happened. I did not say anything. And after a while, the question came up. Well, I know that after about, I don't know, maybe about 6 months or a year, I noticed I don't see you as much, or I don't hear from you anymore, type thing. And I would blow it. I blowed it off. I just said, well, I have been kind of busy and so forth and so on, and I left it at that. But after a while, it came to a head, and the question came up: why? What's going on? It's been over a year now, and I remember when, you know, we were a lot better than we are now. And so then I opened up and I told him what it was. Now, by me keeping it to myself all that time, did that make me angry or bitter? No, I didn't get angry or bitter. I was more in shock than anything. I just couldn't believe what I had learned. And I kept saying to the Lord, I said, you know what? I can't believe. Maybe I misunderstood what was said or what was done. And I kept on saying that for about a year. And then when they brought it up, because I wasn't going to bring it up, when they brought it up, it finally came out. And of course, they don't remember it.
Wow.
They don't remember it. And I said, okay, we're not going to argue about it. But I made my statement. It won't happen again.
Well, I got accused of almost terrorist activity because it's almost like, well, why did you let that go so many times if you didn't agree with it? Or why did you not say anything going?
And that's what was said to me. Well, why haven't you
Mhm.
said anything all
Mhm.
this time and you just now? I just didn't want to believe it. That's why I didn't say anything. I couldn't
Oh, you
believe it.
didn't want to believe
I didn't
it.
want to believe it. That
Well,
was my reason.
my reasoning was just to respond to you was, it's not my place to keep correcting you with something that is your option in a way that you want to act, and it's a behavior that you continue to use. um I can accept people's ways and lifestyles and not agree with a lot of the things they do. Having been in crisis management for quite some time, in homeless shelters and group homes and jails, prisons, you know, you learn to accept that's the way that a person is. Now, that might mess up a rite of passage to a deeper relationship, but I can accept it. So, in other words, back to my point, I guess I gotta. I'm in a situation where I can forgive a person every day, 2 or 3 times an hour, and then still move right on. Especially if it's not hurting me, but it could be. It's a strain on relationship, but I know it's a time limit to it, and I know that you're getting help, or I'm the one that's a resource. So that's active, unconditional relationship with a person, association with a person that you're with, and or you're enduring, and you might consider, somebody might look at me and say, and have looked at me, why you getting along with that person so well? And my answer is basically, I'm not getting along with them. It's a ability to tolerate. It's the ability to accept other people's shortcomings, and the ability to say everybody's not like me, and I sure enough ain't like everybody else. I tell you, boy, I'm 100% not a superstar in a lot of ways. So I do make room for people, and but it's not uncommon for me to forgive somebody 2 or 3 times an hour, and
And I
try
would,
to forget about it.
right, and I would not, and I'm not going to say is anything wrong with that because we are supposed to forgive them. The Bible says 70 times 7. Okay?
Mm, yeah.
You keep right on forgiving them. Now, does that mean that you have to like it?
Mm.
Not
Oh, it hurts.
necessarily.
Oh God, some of that stuff. Oh my goodness, that part right there. That, and I see memes all the time on Facebook that says, "Stop putting your heart out there for people to step on it. Stop laying down. You can lay down for people, and they'll still keep walking on you, no matter how flat you get." There's all kinds of things that tell you to be assertive, set boundaries,
Right.
to maintain your health when you're dealing with people, associated with people that really bring out toxic ways out of you, or they are toxic themselves.
Right. Right. And sometimes, speaking of toxicity, sometimes people do stuff or say stuff to make themselves look better than they are. And they do that by bringing you down.
Come on, come on now. That sounds like a narcissist right there. We all got a little bit in us, but I know the ones that play that card.
Right. And it's not a good feeling. It's not a good way to behave at all because you're painting a picture that's not true. And eventually the truth will come out. And you're not all that you claim that you are
Mm,
because whatever happens, something's going to happen to bring that truth out and it's going to be
preach,
unexpected.
preach.
And when you are put in that position,
Come on.
then you get what you get because that's what you get for trying to be so better than thou.
I wrote this today. I wrote this out not hours ago. And it says, if you are over righteous, you will fail and slay others in your fall. Think about the heart your hypocrisy will break. Some people will lose motivation and just simply quit because of your actions.
Right. And that's such as it is with that argument thing that we're talking about. Some folks just get tired of arguing Just leave it alone because the arguing is not producing anything. It's flaring up emotions, heartbreaks, just digging it deeper and deeper and deeper. It's just like sticking something in a wound that's already been cut. It's already open, and you just pouring salt in it. So just leave it alone.
And all they telling you is calm down. No,
Right.
calm down ain't always the appropriate answer. Now it's always applicable when you start getting heightened, but taking the subject off the table, closing down the argument and the insults that you might be flaring towards each other, that's priority. And then you can calm down. It'll calm down naturally when you stop attacking each other.
Right. And so that's what and while we're going through all of this, folks, we have to remember that we are on a mission. And our mission is what? Our mission is to help other people, not hurt them. And what we just described is a whole lot of hurting going on. But how you can help them is, like I said, by being a bigger person, shut it down, walk away. That speaks volumes right there because it's saying to that other person that you're not going to keep going back and forth with this thing. It's not solving not one thing. So you shut it down, walk away, and move on with your life. Pray for them as well as pray for yourself because you need to be prayed for too, even though you're the bigger person. Both of you or all of you in that marriage situation with that wedding, all of y'all, bride, groom, best man, and maid of honor, flower girls, everybody, just pray for all of them that everything will be all right. Because we're going to resolve this thing. And the best way to resolve it is to move forward with what we're doing and stop the attitudes, stop the body language. It does not mean a thing.
And stop telling people they need deliverance when you probably need to be at the front of the line.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that gets me.
yeah.
Oh boy. That just I, I'm mad right now.
We all go through stuff. I don't think we're at 12:42. I don't think we're going to get to that part three of the, and that's about avoiding. Don't avoid them. All those that's supposed to be the ones you just said are at the front of the line. Um, we all are sinners, but I'm saying there are those that are out there that uh, have accepted Christ, and there are those that have not accepted Christ, don't want to accept Christ, ain't going to accept Christ, and so we don't want to avoid them because why? What I just said. We are on a mission, and that is to help all people that we can. And our behavior, how we respond to things, speaks volumes. I think your behavior, your body language speaks more than words.
Mm.
That's what I think. And they see that you are not acting like so and such over there. But like I said, we don't want to avoid them because why? We all fall short. We all have our shortcomings.
Mhm.
We're not
Mhm.
always big boys and girls in every situation.
Mhm. You're
So
right.
let me say that.
Right.
We're not always that way, folks. We're live on the air. I am your host, Nada Manning. We're talking about these arguing relationships. Best buddies. If you got a best buddy, you want to keep that best buddy. So do everything you can to make that friendship stick. And it takes two, just like in any relationship. Best buddies, if you got one, then it takes both of y'all to work at it. It's a lot of give and take. It's just like a marriage. It's a lot of give and take. You're not going to always like everything that they say or do, but talk about it. That's why I say with that wedding situation. Now, I'm not going to get to my second example, uh, and that was about being a breath of fresh air in a toxic situation or in any situation, being a breath of fresh air. We're going to have to talk about that next week because I think we're down to about 6 minutes, 5 minutes now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to get into that breath of fresh air because that could take up half of the show
Oh,
time. So next week, which is going to be the first Wednesday in May, that's starting the Mother's Day that I mentioned earlier. And for those of you who just tuning in now instead of at the beginning of the hour, um, Coach Garrison and I are planning a different spin for Mother's Day month of May and Father's Day month of May. And if you want to be a guest on the show, which is what we're asking you to do, to speak for Mother's Day month or for Father's Day month in June, there is a website, wbisawesomeradio.org. If you would, the form is there for you to fill out, to complete. It's called to be a guest. You just download it, fill it out. Let me know through Messenger on Facebook here that you're interested in becoming a guest so that we can have it in time to set you up and let us know what you want to talk about. All of that's on the form. And we're looking forward to having some special folks for those 2 months. I will do next Wednesday, the first Wednesday, and then I have women set up, mothers set up for the rest of the month. So, same thing for June. So, we're going to close out. I hope that you've gotten some information from this session about being best buddies after an argument. It goes on all the time. So we just hope and pray that things will work out for you. And we'll continue next week. I'll tie it into being a breath of fresh air as mothers, because this is the focus is going to be on Mother's Day.
you know who I admire. Why that can do that very well. I admire a husband and a wife that look like they are best friends. Notice I said look. I'm down low throwing shade, right? But the ones that are truly our best friends and lovers, it makes me cry. I just don't know how to do it. And I'm like, man, I think that is the most bestest thing in the world to see. And I know there are times in a marriage that you experience that blissful feeling. But I'm just gonna say, if they got age on them and they've been seasoned, they've been married for a while, and they're just submitting to it, they're just not necessarily looking cute while everybody's around. Honey, what you think? Honey, what you think? I mean, you know what I'm saying? It could be a whole big show for some people, but let me quit making it negative. The ones that are truly best friends and lovers and in Christ in their marriage, that is a beautiful sight.
Amen. And they setting a fine example for others to see how they should behave. And that's what it's all about. Set an example, live by example. I agree with you. That is a beautiful sight. So we have to be mindful how we carry ourselves because people are watching us anyway, all the time. Anyway, it's been interesting so far. I didn't, like I suspected, didn't get through everything, but it's all right.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to continue next week if the Lord say so, and look forward to some challenging questions to come through, some comments from different ones, because it's all good. We're talking. Let's talk real life here, real life, genuineness.
Well, I'm gonna ask you about the couple. Do you meet one once a year that say they've never been to bed angry? I don't believe it, but perhaps it has happened.
Yeah, and that's what we're supposed to do, not go to bed angry. Anyway, Father God, thank you for this time. Thank you for being who you are in our lives. Thank you for your special anointing, touching all hearts and mind out there, Lord, is my prayer to open up to the different subjects that we bring forth on a weekly basis. It's only by your grace, God, that we are doing what we do. We love you. We care for you. We depend on you all the time, 24/7. to lead us and guide us and protect us as you said you would. We love you, Lord, and we ask that you continue to be who you are in every life, every listener on this show, Lord. Touch all hearts and minds out there to get rid of the arguing as much as possible as we continue to talk.
This is Joy Brown, and I listen to Awesome Radio 106.9.
Partial funding for this program is brought to you by For His Glory Lawn Care. For His Glory Lawn Care is